Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up, sing with me. Stand up for your rights.
We're here to end mass incarceration. We want our voices to be heard. Are you glad to be here?
What's going on tonight is we're just speaking against mass incarceration. It's an issue, obviously, in the United States of America, not just Washington State. And we also know who's over-policed and more greatly impacted would be people of color.
Where the average age incarcerated for males, I believe, is about 25 years old. And now we're in the 40s and still rising. So we have an aging prison population, and the impact of that is directly correlated and related to the removal of important systems like parole.
By shining a light on mass incarceration and shining a light on the fact that the system isn't working, we're hoping that we can pivot to something that actually works for everybody involved. There are men languishing in our prison system who will better serve our society out here.
We already know that the Department of Corrections looks at the kids who cannot read at the third grade level, and they take that number, and that's how they figure out how many beds they'll need in the future. Well, if we know that and we're paying $8,000 a year for education, but $30,000 for incarceration, well, that's pretty easy. It's a no-brainer.
Ain't gonna let those 3 strikes turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around. Ain't gonna...
Accountability means you give a person an opportunity to grow, to change, to do better.
You know what? Your past does not define you. Everybody deserves a second chance.
I'm so happy to be here. Let the people tell it. I used to let them.
We have an opportunity to take aspects of our population who have not had their needs met, who have been historically, generationally, and sometimes personally traumatized and haven't had the chance to develop a better way of thinking or a better way of being, don't even have the hope that something like that can happen. We get them in this system and they become more traumatized, they become more ostracized, and when they get out, they act many times even worse than they were when they got in there. And it's our responsibility as human community to own that and to do better by that.
Absolutely. We just want to bring light to the darkened areas. Many are aware of it, but there's also many who are still asleep behind the wheel of life. A lot of people think that mass incarceration impacts only a group of people or people who are coming up against that system, but it impacts us all. And there's a variety of different ways of how it impacts us, and we want to be able to raise that awareness around these particular issues.
We could do way better than this. And so tonight will be our night to at least speak about it and try to make change.
It's not even just thinking about mass incarceration in terms of ending it, but it's also being there for the people who come out by the hundreds, sometimes the thousands, and have to find a way to reintegrate into this community.
I feel the emptiness and I'm barely hanging on.
I believe that Lady Justice has a scale for a reason. It's all about balance, right? And I would like to see that people's rehabilitation was put on the scales so that our society can see and balance out and determine for themselves who should be released based on their actions and their personal growth and development.
My colleagues in the Senate Democratic Caucus are committed, as I am, to criminal justice reform. And I pray with all of you that we change our society in Washington State and elsewhere because it matters. Because it matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a great round.